Alright, so I'm making this video mostly just to like show my friends, but like I also low-key can just make this into like something to help other people out for rating and stuff. I know it's where like in the tail end of rating for 14, but like with Evercold coming out, these tools will be available and stuff. So um, if you're watching this, I'm assuming you know how to use ACT or Advanced Combat Tracker and know how to like upload a log. This is mostly for just like how to read and like use a log to like understand how a fight went and how to get better. And yeah, I'm gonna be just covering over like the basics, like the very basics, so that way like, you know, my friends can understand what's going on, and for anyone that's new, to just kind of understand how to use this information to get better. So first off, every time you finish a fight, like a savage fight, whether it's a clear or not a clear, you basically on ACT you have a log of it, and you can choose to upload it onto this website called FFLogs. And then from here, I'm gonna show you how to read the information from the fight, as well as other like important information. And yeah, so first things first, when you load in a log, it'll tell you like information like who you fought, how long it takes for you to fight them, when you fought them, and then from here you can find out like more specifics, and we'll go over that real quick. So the summary will tell you basically just a quick recap of like who died, just how much damage the abilities did, the boss did to everybody. Healing, which is good for the healers to understand like how their healing did in comparison. And then damage, healers should look at both of these because like they need that balance. For the most part, every other class or job that isn't a healer can just focus on damage, and that'll kind of like help guide them for this. So damage done. The first thing you're gonna notice is the parse. So people will often tell you like, oh, you got a gray parse, or you got a green parse, or you got a blue parse, a purple parse, or an orange parse. That basically just tells you like the color coordinates to how well you did. But what exactly the parse is, it's like what it takes is your individual performance. It puts it into like the database of all the other clears that have been logged for that same job, and it'll tell you like how you rank amongst other jobs. So for example, my character, Akira Izanagi, got a gray parse, and what that means is that out of all the Vipers that have completed this encounter, my damage, my DPS, RDPS, ADPS, and all my stats basically say that I'm the 11th. I don't know, it's like the percentile, what, 90 something percentile or whatever. It just means I'm in the top 89% of or percentile of Vipers. I think that's the math or the words correctly. Yeah. Whereas like for example, Althea Epione, I probably butchered that name, I'm sorry, got a 62, which means they're the top 38 percentile or percent or whatever of all white mages have done this fight because of their stats. And yeah, so that's the first thing that most people will kind of just notice based on like damage. The next couple things is active DPS, RDPS, ADPS, and then there's also NDPS and CDPS. Those are important for different reasons based on what the information you want to get from them. I don't know what the DPS kind of tracks. I think it's your individual DPS, but active is very important. Active basically means how much time you're like constantly like leaning into an action. It's like how much time you're like constantly like doing something, you know, like let's say for example a mechanic's going off and you kind of just forget to like do like attack or just heal or whatever, and you just focus on doing the mechanic first, and then you start like DPSing or whatever, or healing, that dead time lowers your active percentage. That's kind of what that's indicating. And higher active percentage means that you're constantly doing an action, which is good, which means more DPS. The lower, then that means the lower the DPS. In terms of the RDPS, NDPS, and CDPS, this is kind of what you wanna. The quick explanation. So RDPS, I'm sorry for yawning. RDPS is great for showing how much damage you actually really contribute to the fight. So this is kind of like it's called your raid DPS. Your NDPS is great for showing how well you executed your rotation. So I think it's like your neutral or normal DPS. Correct me if I'm wrong. ADPS removes single target padding, but still rewards you for playing into AoE buffs. It basically tells you, like, you know how we have the 2-minute window if everyone puts in their buffs around the same time. It's basically just saying like, hey, did you put in your rotation? Did you align it with all the other buffs to get the most maximum damage? And then CDPS looks at like how you did as a raid or as a group together. Because it compares how well you played into burst windows and AoE buffs. And yeah, so basically you kind of extrapolate like what information from like what you want to know. For example, like, hey, is my rotation doing well? Like, am I fitting into the 2-minute? Then you would check your ADPS. Are you actually like keeping up your percentage and like landing your positionals and whatever as a melee? Then check out your RDPS. So yeah, so that's kind of like what the RDPS, NDPS, or whatever does. Okay, so next, we're almost done actually, but obviously they'll tell you like deaths, who died, which is important because like in order to get like a color, you pretty much have to have like no deaths, because you need to be doing constant damage, and if you die, first off, that's town time that you're not doing damage to the boss, and secondly, when you get res, you're getting that debuff, so you're automatically going to be doing less damage. So yeah, that's kind of why deaths kind of ruin a parse for somebody. Parses can be pretty like, I guess, elitist, so to speak. Like, you can kind of use it, people kind of use it to like be like, oh, I have a purple parse in this fight, and like I understand the fight better than you do, and blah blah blah. But it's like, I feel like using information like that is like not helping anybody, and it's like, yeah, sure, you can do it for yourself, but like for people that are just trying to clear a fight or just want to get better, this information is pretty like useful to like help learn that. But yeah, anyways, so in this case, I died 2 times, which sucks because that's 1 damage down / downtime and another one, and because of that, my damage got to like pretty bad, to the point where I got like an 11 parse, where I possibly could have gone like a 40 or 50 or something. And then the last thing to show for the healers, this also shows healing parses, so how well you did in comparison to other healers. Like I said, healers kind of have to have like that middle ground of like understanding where the healing parse is and their damage parses. I think Xenos mentions like one of these isn't really as important as the other because like of how fights are like made and stuff, but like these are kind of good to kind of get a reference of like how exactly you're if you're over healing, if you're under healing, if you're doing enough damage, because healers damage is like one of the most important like damages coming into a raid. So if the healers aren't doing enough damage, chances are like for strict what is it called, health requirements, my mind's blanking, health gates or whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm talking about, where you have to get the HP past a certain point before a mechanic, like in a rage kind of. you need to get like, you need stronger DPS, and usually the biggest factor is the healer. So like, for example, looking at the same person, Althea Epione, um, they died all either. They died at one point towards the end of the fight. But I think you can just see everything on summary. Hold on. No, sorry. So their DPS as a white mage was very, very good. They were like in the top 38 percentile / percentage. Sorry, I forgot which one it is. You can see that how like active they're doing the damage. That could like definitely be raised to like a higher one. And then you can see that they're doing a lot of damage plus. And then when it comes to their healing, like their healing isn't great compared to other white mages that have fought or done this fight. But I mean, that's okay. Like as long as you guys are healing enough to clear, that's all that matters. And yeah, that's kind of like how to use this information to kind of read it within FFLogs. And then some other things I'll mention is like other tools that I use to help use this to help learn. So for example, we compare like how the numbers be differently, for a different fight. Looking at, for example, my character Kira, my parse jumps from an 11 gray to a 66 blue, and you can see my active is 99.58. That means I'm constantly like buffering all my rotations and job actions or whatever, compared to 93. Also, I didn't die 2 times here, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I didn't die 2 times here. Which, that affects that as well. And you can see like my numbers are generally higher than my other one. So, so then for example, like, okay, now looking at this, right? Althea, kind of 80 parses means that they did a really solid job of DPSing as white mage, but the Sage did a pretty poor job of DPSing as a healer. But there's also different factors that can go into this. For example, gear is one of them. This is like, I don't know, I think a few weeks after the first week, so definitely gear could have been an issue. They didn't die. But yeah, like there could be factors here, but like if you're geared up and you're, active is like, you can just tell that's the issue right there. They're just not constantly like keeping up damage on the boss. And then what's healed? Healing, but their healing was really solid. They kept the team up alive, but you can just kind of tell that they're mostly heal botting and they're not damaging the boss when needed, especially as a sage, I think. I'm not too sure about sages and healers, but yeah, just like reading the information, I can tell this is a sage that can heal and keep us up to like full a lot of the times, but when it comes to damage, we're not going to be doing a lot of damage with them personally, but that can be made up by everyone else, so whatever. On that note, the websites that I use in conjunction to this, the first one that I want to talk about is analysis. So what this analysis is you take the URL of the fight that you have, of like the log, you paste it in, and then you can click the character that you played. So for example, here I am, and then it'll basically tell you like all the mistakes that you made for the fight. This is a huge website. This is very, very good for like understanding where your mistakes are and where you can get better as a player. So for example, like my GCD uptime is like 88, which is terrible. It should be like in the high 90s. At some point I lost my buffs for Viper, which is like, the whole, like, you should not be losing the buffs at all. Granted, because I died, this is probably a factor as to why, but even like on clears that you do well on and don't die, for example, I'll show you the other one that I did well on. It'll still show you like stuff to improve on, you know. So for example, even though I got a 66 parse here, you know, my GCT uptime can still be increased. I think I lost one or two of these buffs during my burst window. Yeah, I lost one of the buffs, or I missed my positional. One of my follow-ups I goofed. Yeah, I never finished one of the combos for here. I think overcapped one of my Gun Cold Furies, and I did not hit my positionals as much as I could have here. Yeah, like I missed like 4 positionals there. Jesus. Yeah, so this is really good, and then it also kind of goes over your rotation is like what you did for each of the bursts. But yeah, this is a very huge website that I would use to, like, if you feel like you had a really good run and you didn't really like, and your numbers don't show it, this is a really good website to see like what exactly happened. Yeah, this is the last website. So this one is called tombstone.gg. This is really great for like more casual, what's it called? More like casual information. So like, let's say for example, you didn't record a log, but like maybe someone else in your party might have, and you want to get it. You go on Tombstone log, you look up your character name. It brings up this profile, and then like you can go to activity and you can see like I have this filtered, but it'll show you like the most recent. Here, I'll just do it right now. Dawn Trail, all categories. So this will tell you kind of like it'll show you all like your like most recent what's it called? All your most recent like fights that you've done, or any like extremes. It'll like show up here, and then you can kind of go through them to see like, oh, this is that one run I had, and oh, here's that person, and like, you know, that's kind of how we but it's really cool when you click on it, so that's why I wanted to like bring this up real quick. So let me see, where is what was the fight? Let's see, August 21st. So let me see real quick. Let me get to August 21st. August 21st, Black Cat. So this is the same log for this fight, which is the one that I got the 11% of, right? And it'll kind of give you like a brief, like, okay, what's cool is that, like, actually, I'm not sure if this is correct or not, but this shows you like the time of parse. So the problem with these is that they give you the parse and it's changing, right? So like, for example, when I first cleared this, it might have given me like a grade number, but then like as more people do the fight and more Vipers do the fight, then more numbers come into the database, and that could lower or raise my parse. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but that's what I'm assuming here, based on based on why I'm a higher rank here and I'm a lower rank over here. But anyways, what's cool is that this kind of gives you a little bit more kind of like simplified information. So, you know, you have your yeah, I was gonna just show you for the replay, I'm gonna be honest. Alright, cool. So it kind of gives you like a little like an 14 analysis. It kind of gives you some information here as well. Okay, yeah, it's just like simple stuff. But what I found really cool about Tombstone is the replay. This is like the one I'm like, okay, this is sick. And what it does is that it basically kind of like shows you like if you messed up on a mechanic, where you messed it up or where you died or whatever. So like, for example, looking here at my deaths, I died at 448, right? So if I go to the fight at 448, you should see wherever the whoever the Viper is, how they died. Yeah, so I got clipped by like 2 things there. I was out of position there. Yeah, that's exactly what happened there. And then 736 I also died. So if I get a 736, I don't know what the mechanic is here. Overshadow. I don't know what happened here. I haven't done this fight in a while. Yeah, I don't know why I died there. But yeah, anyways, it shows you, you know, like, where you're positioned for things. What's your rotation like? What are you casting at this time? It's very cool. I thought the video replay was definitely something really cool that I like to watch on some. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, this is the other one that I did that I showed you, the 85. So at the time it was 85, but then now it's 66. Yeah, August 21st. Oh, never mind. What is this one? Oh, no. Wait, what? September 5th. Yeah, so then this is for the other time. So I got an 85, but eventually went down to 66. So, yeah. But yeah, and then that's pretty much it. I mean, like I said, this website's really good for like seeing how to improve. It's like it gives you information, and what you choose to do with that information is important. You know, like you can use it to be a meanie, or you can use it to like get better. You know, I know when I was getting more into raiding with the group, I was very frustrated because like as a melee DPS, you know, you're kind of like expected to do the most damage, and I remember like feeling like a lot of the fights, like we would clear them, we go through the mechanics, but we would die a lot to enrages, and then we have to break down like the damages and what's going on, and then like a lot of the time where I thought I was doing well, I was getting like grains and maybe greens, and then I'm like, what? Like I don't understand why. So then that kind of helped me looking at the information kind of helped me gauge like, okay, what's exactly going on, and what's the problem, which is why fortune analysis is really good, because it kind of tells you like, hey, you don't have a tendency to land your positionals, and if you did, you'd get like a lot more damage. So you know, maybe you should like use True North, or position better, and just in general. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. I just want to make a video for this for everyone to like understand how to use this information to like get better and stuff. And yeah, so hope you enjoyed it.